The observation deck of the celestial horizon hummed with the nervous energy of 200 cadets from across the galaxy. Elsa stood among them, her human frame dwarfed by the towering Crithians and the crystalline Vexorians who shimmered under the station's artificial lighting. She pressed her palm against the transparent aluminum viewport, watching the swirling nebula beyond, trying to calm the racing of her heart. "Attention, cadets." Instructor Velenak's voice cut through the chatter like a plasma blade. The Threxian's 4 eyes scanned the crowd with millennia-old wisdom. What you are about to witness is not a simulation. It is not a drill. It is the reason we train. The lights dimmed. On the massive holographic display that materialized before them, a shape emerged from the cosmic darkness, something that made Elsa's instincts scream with primal fear. The Devourer. It was unlike anything she had studied in xenobiology. The creature, if it could even be called that, was a living void, a tear in reality itself that consumed starlight and matter with equal hunger. Tendrils of impossible geometry reached out from its core, each one capable of tearing through starship hulls like tissue paper. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Coalition has encountered 17 of these entities, Velenak continued, his voice grave. 17 times we have lost entire fleets. No weapon can stop it. No shield can hold against it. Our only strategy has been evacuation and retreat. Beside Elsa, Daniel shifted his weight. The young human cadet had arrived at the academy 6 months after her, but they'd quickly bonded over their shared homeworld and the peculiar way other species looked at humans, with a mixture of curiosity and concern about their reckless tendencies. "That's the one heading for the Proxima colonies," Daniel whispered. Elsa nodded grimly. 3 billion souls lived in the Proxima system. Evacuation was impossible in the time they had left. "In 72 hours, the entity will reach Proxima Centauri," Velenak announced. "The Coalition Council has issued a final evacuation order. We will save who we can. The rest." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The briefing ended in solemn silence. Cadets dispersed to their quarters, each processing the magnitude of the coming tragedy in their own way. But Elsa noticed Daniel heading in the wrong direction, toward the armory deck. "Daniel, where are you going?" He glanced back, his green eyes blazing with determination. "To do something stupid. You coming?" The armory was restricted to cadets, but Daniel had always been good with security bypasses, a skill he'd picked up during his childhood in the Detroit ruins. Elsa followed him through the corridors, her rational mind screaming at her to stop, while something deeper urged her forward. "What's your plan?" she asked as he accessed the weapons locker. "Remember what Professor Thane said about the Devourers in xenophysics class." Elsa searched her memory. That they exist partially outside normal spacetime, that they're vulnerable during the brief moment they phase into our reality to feed. Exactly. Daniel pulled out a modified plasma rifle and began making adjustments. Everyone's tried quantum missiles, antimatter torpedoes, even stellar mass weapons, all conventional force, but humans, we've always been good at unconventional solutions. He retrieved something else from his personal locker, a small, silver cylinder that Elsa recognized with shock. "Is that a prototype reality anchor?" "Daniel, those are theoretical. They've never been tested." "Then it's time for a field test." His grin was manic, infectious. "If we can force the Devourer to fully phase into our dimension for just a few seconds, conventional weapons might work. And I've modified this rifle to deliver a targeted gravitational pulse. It won't kill it, but it might hurt it enough to make it retreat." "This is insane. We're cadets. We'll be court-martialed." 3 billion people, Elsa. His voice dropped, serious now. "I know the odds. I know we'll probably fail, but I can't just watch and do nothing. That's not who we are." Elsa looked at her friend, at the stubborn human determination that had carried their species from the caves to the stars despite every logical reason they should have gone extinct. She thought about her little sister back on Earth, about all the families in Proxima who'd been told to simply accept their fate. "You're right," she said, grabbing a second rifle. "It's not who we are, so what's the plan?" They stole a training shuttle. It was surprisingly easy. Everyone was focused on the evacuation efforts. By the time anyone noticed, they were already 3 light towers out, approaching the Devourer's projected path. The entity was even more terrifying up close. Reality itself seemed to warp around it, colors bleeding into impossible spectrums, the fabric of space folding in ways that hurt to observe. "Deploying reality anchor," Daniel announced, his hands steady on the controls despite the tremor in his voice. "On my mark, mark." The silver cylinder launched from their shuttle, accelerating on a collision course with the Devourer's core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the creature screamed. The sound came not through their ears but directly into their minds, a shriek of rage and surprise as the reality anchor forced it to fully manifest in their dimension. For the first time in recorded history, the Devourer became truly, completely physical. "Now," Elsa shouted. They fired together. The modified rifles released gravitational pulses that converged on the entity's core. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The Devourer convulsed, its tendrils thrashing wildly. A massive chunk of its essence simply dissolved. It was hurt, truly hurt. "We did it," Daniel breathed. "We actually." The creature's counterattack came swift and merciless. A tendril lashed out, catching their shuttle's port engine. Alarms screamed as the hull began to buckle. "Elsa, eject the core, now." She didn't hesitate. Her fingers flew across the console, initiating the emergency core ejection. The shuttle's fusion reactor detached, and with Daniel's piloting genius, was launched directly at the still-manifested Devourer. The explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. When they regained consciousness, they were in the Celestial Horizon's medical bay. Instructor Velenak stood over them, all 4 eyes unreadable. "That," he said slowly, "was the most reckless, insubordinate, and foolish action I have witnessed in 3 centuries of service." Elsa and Daniel exchanged glances, preparing for the court-martial. Then Velenak's mandibles curved into what might have been a smile. It was also the first time in galactic history that anyone has successfully driven off a Devourer. The entity retreated. "Proxima is safe. You've rewritten 3 millennia of military doctrine with a theory, a prototype, and a spectacular disregard for your own survival." He leaned closer. "Very human of you. Welcome to Special Operations, cadets. You've just been promoted." As they processed the news, Elsa looked at Daniel and laughed, the slightly hysterical laugh of someone who just gambled with death and won. Because that was humanity's gift to the galaxy. The audacity to load a weapon when everyone else said it was hopeless, and the stubborn refusal to accept that any problem was truly unsolvable. The instructor had said no weapon could stop it. The human cadets had loaded one anyway.